Next up, we have Shane Rothermel and Scott Tucker to talk about total risk arthroplasty.
Hello, thanks for having us today. I'm Shane, we're excited to tell you about a total stable wrist replacement, a stable wrist replacement that doesn't dislocate. Currently, I'm co-inventor of the technology, and I'm a surgeon in training in orthopedic surgery, chief resident down at Penn State.
My name's Scott. I'm Shane's co-inventor on the technology, MD PhD student at Penn State, and also a surgeon in training. And Shane and I have been inventing together since we first met in undergrad in 2006. And we're also happy to have on our team and in the room with us today Dr. John Elfar, hand and wrist surgeon at Penn State and vice dean for research in orthopedics.
Imagine if you just couldn't do the things that you typically do every morning because of wrist discomfort. What if it just doesn't work the way that it used to and you can no longer independently bathe yourself, clean yourself after toileting, hold a cup of coffee, push yourself up out of a chair? 1 in 7 Americans will have wrist arthritis, and over 75% of seniors will be burdened with this. Treatment options exist, like proximal rotacarpectomy, four-corner fusion, total wrist fusion, but these are far from perfect. And currently, wrist fusions are done nearly 10 times more frequently than wrist replacement, primarily due to implant failure and instability.
So as Shane mentioned, current treatment options are not ideal. In example, wrist fusion, which actually removes the function of the wrist, making the hand an inflexible extension of the forearm, leaves patients wanting for a lot of their functional activities and ultimately makes them unhappy. Proximal rotacarpectomy removes 3 bones from the wrist and throws them in the trash. This results in decreased grip strength, decreased range of motion, and again, an unhappy patient. We're not the first to invent a total wrist replacement. However, you can tell from the existing design that we're showing on the slide that this contact-constrained model can dislocate, and it does.
We try to address the major shortcomings of prior designs and give patients what they want: a pain-free wrist with preserved range of motion. So our kinematic-inspired design is semi-constrained to prevent it from dislocation. It also allows torque transfer from the forearm to the hand without compromising stability.
Our progress so far on this technology is that we've protected our intellectual property. We have ongoing grant funding to conduct both computational and mechanical cadaver experiments, as well as doing prototyping with 3D printed plastics and metal, which I'm happy to show around after the talk. Our goals for next year are to bring the technology to market either through licensing our intellectual property or by forming a startup. In summary, we've demonstrated that there's a lot of patients who suffer from wrist arthritis. Current treatment methods are not ideal, and that we've developed a solution that we think will prove to be superior. Thank you for your time.
Can you walk me through your regulatory pathway, and along with that, how long and how much to get this to market do you anticipate?
Yeah, so we think we can actually benefit from an expedited regulatory pathway to a 510K with the FDA because there are existing devices, and our device is functionally different, but it uses the same materials and it's going to go in the same space, same size. So we think that that process may actually be expedited for that reason.
So how long and how much? How much money will you need to take this to market?
I don't have a direct answer for that question. We've been working with the Center for Medical Innovation at Penn State, and we're just starting to have those conversations at this point.
Okay.
So beyond regulatory, I mean, obviously an implant is one that has a lot of, some experience is going to occur. What, in the product development process, kind of walk through, when do you have confidence that this actually is something that will fulfill the desire of functional and reliable?
At this point, we're fairly confident. We're currently working with a group of students working on mechanical testing to prove that and pour that out in the literature, comparing it to current devices that are on the market.
Yeah, our goal is to, through our testing, prove that our device performs at least as well, if not better, than existing devices, and our research is ongoing for that.
When's the first time it actually would go into a human patient?
When
When was the first time it actually goes, do you actually have it? I assume that you haven't put it in a human at this point. When would it go
We've done
in?
cadaver testing, but not in any live.
When does it go into a human that you get feedback to say, hey, I'm living with this very well?
As soon as we go through the channels for FDA approval.
Yeah, our goal is to publish our ongoing research, and as soon as confidence is established in the technology, to start doing clinical trials. Hopefully, we could do that within the next 1.5 to 2 years.
Is the plan for you to form a company and do the clinical trials, or are you hoping for someone to buy a device company to purchase the device? What's your strategy from that perspective?
So at this point, we want to get the technology to market because we feel it would benefit patients. But we feel like probably a sale of IP to a current manufacturer, they would probably be interested in our technology because, as Scott mentioned, feel that it's at least as good, if not better, than what's out there on the market. And then if that channel doesn't develop, then potentially a startup.
And so your plan then is to try to license the IP prior to doing actual clinical trials, otherwise, before forming a real company, is that correct?
Potentially, yes.
Okay, sorry.
You guys will have to decide that pretty quickly, I would imagine. And have you had any kind of discovery calls with potential acquirers or licensees of the technology?
Yeah, so we recently completed the I-Core at NCAT's short course down at Penn State just at the beginning of this year. So we made a lot of cold calls to manufacturers as well as end users at hospitals and surgeons to garner interest and identify who might be interested in picking up this technology. We've got a list right now in our hands of contact people for the Stryker and Zimmer representatives at our hospital, and we plan on reaching out to them once we start getting some results from our mechanical testing.
We currently have there's about 6 major companies, probably 4 very major companies that would potentially be interested in this technology that we feel would probably approach first.
To license exclusively?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you for your questions.
Thank you.